The first light of dawn cuts across the floorboards, thin and cold, and you are awake before the world stays, alone with the tension between staying in the warmth of your bed and rising to the discipline that shapes a life. No one will see this morning. No one will praise the effort, measure your resolve, or admire the quiet repetition of action. And yet, it is here, in the solitude, that the truest work is done. Modern life tells you that validation is a measure of worth, that likes, applause, and recognition define you, but the samurai knew otherwise. Musasha sharpened his sword in silence, the clink of steel against stone unseen, uncelebrated, yet shaping a mastery that would echo for generations. Every micro-choice you make when no one is watching, the decision to lift the pen, to move your body, to resist a pull of distraction, these are the invisible strokes that carve the man you will become. This is a hidden forge, where integrity is stronger than performance, where consistency outweighs spectacle, where Kaizen quiet 1% improvement loops accumulate into unstoppable momentum, and Gorge's relentless practice without gap build a character immune to excuses, immune to the whims of praise or judgment. Most men live on the stage, performing for applause, scrolling endlessly, nodding to the idea that tomorrow they will change, tomorrow they will act, tomorrow they will become more. And most men never do. They trade their potential for fleeting pleasure, mistaking comfort for progress, forgetting that character is invisible until it manifests in action. But the truth is simple and brutal. What you do in the unseen hours, the choices no one notices, the discipline no one rewards, this is what defines you. In the cold, early hours, the body wants warmth, the mind wants distraction, and yet your integrity whispers louder than temptation. You rise, you act, you move, even if no one watches. Because the life you will lead is written in these quiet moments, inked in sweat, consistency, and the refusal to bow to fleeting desire. If you have learned anything in the mirror of social validation, it is wrong. The applause of the world will never forge mastery, only your own unseen devotion will. And so the question remains unavoidable and piercing. If no one is watching, who are you really becoming? For it is not the public recognition, not the curated image, not the performance that molds your soul. It is the unseen, relentless, daily acts, repeated with quiet ferocity, repeated with unwavering presence, that forge the man capable of holding life with both hands, steady, unshaken, complete. You look in the mirror each morning, expecting to see the man you aspire to be, and yet there is a subtle, knowing recognition that the reflection is not aligned with your intention. The eyes staring back hold the residue of yesterday's excuses, the silent betrayals of unkept commitments, the small surrender to comfort that has accumulated into a quiet erosion of pride. Miyamoto Musashi, centuries before, understood this tension. While the city slept, he sharpened his sword in solitary devotion, each precise movement a negotiation with his own discipline, each stroke an invisible choice that would determine the outcome of battles he might never speak of. In our world, the same war is fought quietly, not with swords but with habits. The decision to scroll endlessly through feeds, to postpone action, to promise to change tomorrow while clinging to the day's ease, is a modern arena where character is tested. Shame whispers in the empty hours, reminding you of what you have neglected, while pride waits patiently for a single act of courage, a single moment of alignment, a single choice that declares, silently but unmistakably, who you are. The paradox is that grand gestures, the visible victories, mean little if they are not built upon the foundation of these private repetitions. The heroism of identity is constructed from the bricks of quiet consistency, each unseen effort laying the groundwork for the visible life that eventually emerges. Every unperformed action, every delayed decision, every surrender to distraction is a seed of erosion, and every deliberate, unseen act is a seed of growth that blooms in ways the world cannot immediately perceive. This is a mirror you avoid, the reflection of your own integrity, sharpened or dulled by the hidden choices you make daily. To confront it is to confront the uncomfortable truth that the man you claim to be is only as real as the habits you cultivate when no one watches. Pride and shame are the twin measures of this invisible ledger. Mastery is written not in applause but in accountability, not in recognition but in the unobserved minutes where you prove your own worth. Understanding this, we need to confront what we do daily when no one is watching, because that is the truest test of character, and it is here, in the private, unlit hours, that the life we ultimately live is determined, one silent, decisive act at a time. Every day is a battlefield, though the war is invisible. fought not against others but against the self, against the creeping ease of distraction, against the quiet seduction of comfort. Each habit, each ritual, is a hidden warrior standing in formation, waiting for your command, ready to defend the integrity of your character or betray it if left untended. Waking before dawn, lifting your body when it begs for rest, exposing yourself to the cold that sharpens resolve, writing your thoughts onto paper to clarify the chaos in your mind, practicing deliberately the skills that will shape your mastery. These are the small but powerful soldiers of identity, each act seemingly insignificant, yet collectively decisive. The samurai understood this. Guoji teaches that showing up every day without exception is the essence of mastery. The gap in practice is a chink in armor through which mediocrity enters, the moment when habits falter and the future you sacrifices itself to the ease of today. In the modern world, the battlefield is flooded with screens, notifications, and the endless temptation to trade time for hollow pleasure. Every scroll, every skipped workout, every delayed action is noted by your future self, each unkept promise an invisible wound inflicted upon the man you are meant to become. And yet, small victories accumulate, compounding silently like the sharpening of a blade in the dark. The decision to rise when your body resists, to sit in silence when your mind screams for distraction, to act when recognition is absent. This is a cultivation of invisible strength, the reinforcement of identity through repetition, the quiet victory that no one applauds but that the world eventually feels in the solidity of your presence. The war is relentless, and so too must be your attention. Neglect a micro-habit, and a cascade of compromise spreads, eroding discipline, productivity, and self-respect. But commit daily, and the armor grows, the warriors multiply, and each act of hidden devotion strengthens a man beneath, forging an inner citadel that distraction cannot breach. And so, as we prepare to confront the next layer of this silent war, we recognize that if habits are the battlefield, then your mind is a commander, the general who coordinates, strategizes, and ensures that every unseen act contributes to the victory of identity. Let us train it. The mind is like the sword. Its sharpness is not measured by the cheers of the crowd, but by the unseen hours spent honing, refining, and tempering its edge in solitude. The samurai understood this with clarity that modern men rarely glimpse. Musa should move through the world with deliberate action, practicing not for recognition, not for applause, but to align intention with execution, to let his being become inseparable from his discipline. Zen teaches the same principle. Presence in every motion, awareness in every choice, alignment between thought, word, and act. Strength is not in spectacle. It is in the silent adherence to principle when no one observes, in the ability to resist a seductive call of distraction, to sit with discomfort, to choose a hard path without celebration. In the age of screens and endless notifications, this discipline has never been more relevant. The world offers validation at every scroll. Yet the man who wishes to master himself must resist the ephemeral pull of approval, the clamor of society that confuses performance with value. Every temptation resisted, every digital intrusion ignored, every moment of focus reclaimed, is a strike of the blade upon the whetstone, shaping a mind that is precise, resilient, and unshakable. Mastery is not measured by recognition. It is measured by integrity, by the quiet victories that accumulate in private, by the self-command that allows action without external reward. In the silence of deliberate practice, the man becomes his own standard. The only witness required is his own awareness. Each decision, each controlled thought, each moment of self-mastery reinforces identity, weaving a strength that cannot be borrowed, cannot be mimicked, and cannot be observed from the outside. The samurai did not perform for the crowd. He performed for the world that would never see, for the life that would require him to be steady, unyielding, and prepared. And now, with a mindset understood, with the principles of presence, alignment, and silent strength internalized, the question arises, how do we confront the struggle of implementing this rigor daily, in a world designed to scatter attention and dilute effort, in a life filled with temptations that erode even the strongest intentions? Every man knows a quiet, creeping weight of resistance, though few admit it. It begins with fatigue, the body whispering for rest when action is required, the mind lured into endless scrolling, the flickering screens promising pleasure and distraction while silently eroding willpower. You plan to act, to move, to improve, yet the temptation of comfort presses heavier than any sense of urgency. The easy choice smiles like an old friend while the harder path demands vigilance, endurance, and courage. This is the invisible struggle, fought in bedrooms, offices, and early morning hours, in moments no one observes. It is here that identity is tested. Comfort battles growth, laziness challenges integrity, procrastination confronts mastery. The man who surrenders to every impulse discovers, too late, that small compromises accumulate into a life half-lived, that the neglect of micro-habits produces cascading failure, that the invisible ledger of choice always balances, silently, against him. Pain is a whetstone of character. Struggle is a forge in which resilience is tempered. Every act of resistance, raising yourself in bed, picking up the pen, moving your body when it resists, is a declaration of sovereignty over your impulses, a proof that the man inside is alive, aware, and unwilling to yield to triviality. Practical mastery arises from recognizing that monumental victories are illusions. The battlefield is won in the small, consistent steps. The 3-minute start that overcomes hesitation, the deliberate repetition that compounds silently, the incremental improvements that, though unseen, carve a man capable of carrying life's weight without complaint. Even in moments when temptation is strongest and fatigue most pronounced, a disciplined mind knows that surrender is optional, that integrity is built in the friction of effort, that the discomfort you resist today is the strength you carry tomorrow. The struggle is inevitable, unavoidable, and unrelenting. But here's the truth the samurai teaches. It is in the confrontation with resistance, in the persistent choosing of difficulty over ease, that growth becomes inevitable, that mastery is forged not in applause or recognition, but in the unobserved tension of action over inaction, in the quiet moments where the man proves to himself that he will rise again and again. Without fail, the strength of the silent warrior is built not in grand gestures, not in moments of fleeting inspiration, but in the quiet, repeated rituals that anchor identity and fortify willpower. The morning is the first battlefield, rising before the sun, moving the body with deliberate intent, exposing oneself to cold or discomfort, writing down thoughts to align mind and purpose, setting the tone for a day shaped by choice rather than reaction. These rituals are not performative. They are private, sacred, and cumulative, each repetition carving a man who is steady, deliberate, and internally accountable. Kaizen, the 1% improvement principle, teaches that greatness is rarely forged in leaps. It grows in quiet increments, in marginal gains compounded daily, in tiny victories that the world cannot measure but that the self can feel deeply. Each micro-action, journaling to clarify thought, learning with deliberate focus, practicing skills relentlessly is an anchor of identity, a proof to yourself that you are becoming the man you imagine, even when the world remains unaware. Visualize your future self, the one who bears the strength, discipline, and clarity you seek, standing quietly and observing these small, unseen efforts, nodding in gratitude, whispering silently, "This is why you are ready." Discipline is not flashy, it is not validated by applause, but its impact resonates across time, shaping outcomes, decisions, and character with precision. Digital distractions and modern burnout attempt to dismantle these foundations, but the tools of the silent warrior create resistance and structure, the 3-minute start rule to overcome hesitation, the habit loop that compounds success, the deliberate application of effort without expectation of immediate reward. Through these practices, the private work, the work no one notices, transforms into public resilience, unseen strength, and unstoppable momentum. Each morning, each deliberate act, each micro-habit is a declaration that you exist in alignment with your purpose, that you honor the man you are becoming, and that consistency outweighs inspiration. The mastery of daily life is therefore not found in sporadic bursts of effort, but in the quiet devotion to process, in the relentless refinement of self, in the steady accumulation of invisible victories that define the true warrior. Discipline is learned quietly, but its effects resonate loudly. Now, let us explore the final transformation. The quiet work of unseen hours reaches its apex not in recognition, not in applause, but in the subtle, undeniable shift of self, the transformation that cannot be faked, borrowed, or imitated. Before, you may have lived in dependence on the approval of others, measuring your worth by likes, nods, or the fleeting validation of peers. But now the measure of your life resides entirely in the integrity of your unseen actions, in the fidelity with which you honor yourself when no one observes. Every early rise, every resisted temptation, every deliberate act of growth is compounded into a character that moves with quiet authority, whose presence carries the weight of internal victory rather than external affirmation. Your habits are your signature. No one else defines you, and no one else can undo the slow accumulation of discipline that have become inseparable from your being. Picture the man you were yesterday, swayed by distraction, tempted by ease, hollow in the private moments, and then see the man you are becoming, steady, deliberate, unshakable, forged in silence, carrying the unbroken rhythm of self-mastery in each gesture and choice. Story arcs of personal triumph play out not in the visible arenas of performance, but in the unseen victories, the journal written before dawn, the body move against fatigue, the mind focus when chaos beckons, each a quiet testament to relentless inner growth. Character is not performed. It is lived, breathed, and enacted in the cadence of daily repetition, in alignment with values that require no audience, in integrity that cannot be borrowed or faked. This is a man who walks through the world unshaken, whose decisions are decisive because they are rooted in private mastery, whose life resonates with authenticity and unstoppable momentum. The applause of the crowd becomes irrelevant, because the foundation has been built in hours unseen, in habits cemented quietly, in choices made when no one was watching, and in that solitude, the soul learns to carry itself with the strength and clarity of a warrior. If this resonates, it is time to seal it with action, to take the first small, invisible step toward embodying fully the man you cannot fake, the man who emerges from the shadows of discipline into the light of authentic, unshakable selfhood. Now is a moment to take the invisible work you have cultivated and anchor it with intention, to make a declaration that is not for applause, not for recognition, but for the man you are becoming. Choose one daily act, simple yet profound, and commit to it without exception, a ritual, a micro-habit, a practice that aligns body, mind, and purpose. Write it down if you must. Speak it aloud if it strengthens your resolve. But do not waver. Do not negotiate. Do not allow the trivial to displace the essential. Let this act become the anchor for your identity, a visible commitment to invisible mastery, a tangible thread connecting the present moment to the man you wish to inhabit. Feel the weight of honor pressing gently, the quiet pulse of legacy urging action, the gravity of identity demanding. Fidelity. Each repetition, each unobserved choice solidifies your character in ways the world cannot immediately measure. Journaling may help. Record your act, note your resistance, celebrate your quiet victories, and witness the accumulation of discipline over days, weeks, months, until the invisible work becomes inseparable from the person you are. Remember always, what you do when no one is looking builds who you become today. Silently, you forge your destiny. This is not a one-time effort, nor is it a performance. It is a daily declaration of a man who understands that mastery is lived in repetition, that growth is quiet, and that integrity is proof enough. Anchor yourself in this commitment, honor it above distraction, above fatigue, above the temptation to postpone, and you will discover that the life you seek, the strength you admire, the clarity you crave, is already being built within you in the unseen hours, in the silent labor that only you witness and only you can steward.